Yo, what is going on? Harvey Lemus here, and today I have a really interesting video because I think this is super important for anyone who is trying to make a lot of money or anyone who's trying to be an expert, because this applies with everything. And I have my little note card here that for this video, but let me just place it down. So today we're going to talk about how to develop unique insights and how to have research that no one does. And by the end of this video, you're going to know why having research is your biggest lever in terms of how to do anything, really. If you want to have a competitive edge that most people don't have, it's usually going to come from a unique insight. It's going to come from something that you know that the next person doesn't. And like my mentor would say, it gives you a competitive edge. You get a competitive edge by knowing something that other people don't. All right. So this is why insights and having the right knowledge is the most valuable asset you can have in a world where we all have too much information. It's not about having information, it's about having the right information. Just like we've all heard of the story that I'm gonna mention and point number 3, and when I get to that in this video. So first is ask the unasked question, right? So like most people, they are not asking the right questions, and this is a trend that we're going to experience. It's like the people who are able to ask the right questions, or in another sense, the people who are able to ask the right questions to AI, to be able to prompt the AI to be able to get answers that no one else is getting, is going to give you such an advantage, because those who can ask the best questions get answers that most don't. And I'm sure that we all heard Tony Robbins say, right, like your life is dependent on the type of questions you're asking. So your ability to ask better questions is going to give you a better reality. And yeah, and little not on topic, but essentially you have to make this a part of your identity where you're able to see what no one else can see, or ask what no one else can ask, to get what no one else can. And because there's a saying, it's like your identity is a reflection of your reality, and reality is a reflection of your identity. So essentially, if you want a reality where you have questions you have answers, or you have insights that aren't typical, then you must make it a part of your identity to be the type of person who asks questions who aren't typical. So one thing I'll implore you to do is just try to, anytime you're in conversation, or anytime you're figuring out a problem, or anytime you're at a task, or you're doing something, right? What is the question that you should be asking yourself, or asking the person that is going to give you an answer that's going to push things to the next level? So for me, it's like, how can I, be making better content? And the question is like, where should I focus? What should my hooks be, right? What should my content be? And for now, I'm just trying to get consistent with my videos. So that's why my question is just like, what's the biggest lever? And for me, it's just publishing consistent, because when I get frequent, then I can optimize, right? So point number 2 is their answer is a lie. So regardless of what people tell you, people pay you, or people want you in their life for your expertise. And if you want to be that person that they can rely on, and if you want to be the person who has influence over them and is an authority, then you have to realize you can't accept their answer, because their answer isn't really the truth. Because if they knew the truth, then they would have the result they wanted to. And odds are they don't have the result they want. So their answer is not even true, because they're not even in a place where they want to be. So their answer is irrelevant, right? It's more about gathering the data to understand where they're coming from, and to understand what's the message that's not being told, or what's the story that's not being told from their interpretation of the situation. So you can dig it out. So you can bring it out of them by you having your knowledge and your expertise and your ability to see through their communication, and see through the story on typically like where it goes wrong. And yeah, so I think most of the time, anytime someone gives you an answer, understand that that's partial. Like it's part of the story. It's not the entire thing. So being able to hear someone's story, hear where they're coming from, and then being like, okay, where are their holes here, right? Asking follow-up questions to try to pick at it, to see where it is inconsistent. And your ability to do that is going to allow you to really hear something, or see some data or something, and then see what's the meta, like what's the, from a high levels perspective, where are they going wrong, and then being able to diagnose it and being able to come up with the answer. And people are going to look at you like you're a wizard. And this is the same for every industry. It's like, no matter what industry you're in, the person who's an expert can typically hear their story, see where their story is faulty, and then being like, okay, I know you're saying this, but odds are it's probably this and this and this. And that's what makes someone an expert. And that's what makes someone just extremely valuable when, they can diagnose your situation from like a mile away or from a couple of details that they can just understand where you're coming from. So last thing is research. Research and data are your biggest lever. So essentially, anytime that a consultant comes in, I'm who's beeping? Anyway, I'm in the ad space, but anytime a consultant comes in, or the first thing they look at is the data, right? What's the data that you guys already have? And odds are, if you're not tracking, then they typically tell you to go get data. And the biggest lever you can pull is understanding the pathway, right? So when you are talking in business, right, the first thing that an advertiser comes to you is they want to understand your audience, right? What are their psychographics, right? So what are the desires, right? What do they want? What's their dream scenarios? What are their dream outcomes? What's their nightmare scenarios, right? What are their biggest pain points? And what are what are the sayings that they identify with, right? What are the things that they currently believe based on the market, based on their competitors that are propagating or disseminating their message, right? And that's a form of research that like research goes into many different aspects, right? So like there's details like that where it's like the understanding of an audience, and then there's also research in terms of like data, in terms of what is the current state of the market, right? What is the current state of the current market? And there's a really good website on this. I think it's IBIS. It tells you like all the data on current markets, and I just love going on that website because one, you realize how many markets there are, but then two, you realize like the type of research that exists is insane, because those who have the unique insights are able to get unique outcomes. So those who have that information that most don't, it's like it tells you like what are the biggest competitors in the space, how much money is in the market, what are like, it's just so in depth. I highly recommend you go look at it. It's called IBIS World, and just check it out, and you'll see like why I'm talking about research. And the people who are at the top have the most access to research. And another thing I noticed is just like the people who are the biggest players in the game, they're the ones who are coming out with the research, right? It's like they're the market leaders. And typically when you're at a level where ads don't really give you a bang for your buck as much as they should, because you're already at the top, or there's certain things that when you're small they don't really apply to when you're big. Most of the time, most businesses, from my understanding, always invest into R&D, which is research and development, and it's for a reason. It's because at a certain level, what's going to get you to the next level is to being the top dog. And to continue to being at the top dog, you have to be at the cutting edge of the market. And the only way you're going to be able to stay at the front of the market is if you're the one dictating the market and coming up with the latest and greatest information, with the greatest and latest technology, with the latest and greatest surveys and like research that's done on humans of, if it's like question-based surveys, or if it's like data-based surveys where you're gathering certain data, et cetera, right? So, and this is all at a macro level, but like when it comes to growing businesses, it's like, what are your conversion metrics, right? What's your cost per click? How many clicks are you getting? How many leads have you gotten? How many phone calls are being made? How many times have you made an offer, right? How many times, what's your pickup rate, right? So like anytime that you make a call, how many people are actually picking up? How many of these leads are actually qualified, et cetera, right? And there's a whole list of metrics that you could look at that are essential for you to understand where is the bottleneck, where is the hole that you have to fill in. Because once you understand the data and you have that research, then it's actually really obvious, but you have to know how to look for the data, right? So it's not about, and the story I was going to mention at the beginning, it's like, we all heard the story of the guy who came in and like, he's an electrician or whatever, or I forgot the story how it goes, but it's like, he comes in and then it only takes him 10 minutes to like for him to pull one switch, and he charges $10,000. And the guy's like, hey, how come you charged me $10,000? It only took you 10 minutes to solve the problem. And he's like, well, I didn't get paid for how long it takes me to solve your problem. I get paid to know where to pull. So it's not about how long it takes you. It's about the value you provide. And it's about knowing where to pull. It's about knowing the things that no one else doesn't, which is why positions you to be unique, and it positions you to be not like everyone else, and positions you to be one of one. So that is why, having unique insights and understanding your research, understanding your data is going to allow you to grow. It's going to take you to the next level, and it's going to allow you to compete where others don't even know how you're doing it. They're like, yo, this person is legit a magician, because they're able to, one, move faster than everyone because they know their numbers, they know their data, but two, they're able to go in certain directions that most can't because they have the information that gives them the competitive edge. So that's it for this one. See you in the next one.